And
I see it.
oh, so we're officially live.
Yep.
All right, cool. So welcome to, that sounds kind of awkward and like everyone else. I'm going to go with it anyway. Welcome to the second River Certified podcast, the second live one. If you haven't checked it out, I do have a bunch of old ones on like Spotify and whatever the Apple podcast streaming platform is now. I think it's changed names like 27 times or something like that. But we're live. I got Micah Burkhart, Kody Kennedy. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Spent all day on the water. And on my way back, though, one thing fun. So everybody sees Skip like the way I paint. I paint Skip into a very good light. But what you miss is all the whining. And Micah knows what I'm talking about. He's like the whiniest little dog, and it kind of drives me up the wall. I love him to death because he's mine. But when you're in a vehicle, in the boat, he's great. At home, he's great. You put him in a vehicle, and he just cries and cries and cries. And what I discovered, because I've been trying everything, if I sing to him, if I do a little karaoke, on the drive, he calms down. So,
Do you sing for us, Spencer?
Maybe. I mean, if we can get some crowdfunding, it would take a pretty penny for me to want to sing. I'm not saying I'm a good singer, but I think Skip would say I'm a good singer. He might be the only one who would say I'm a good singer.
He's probably biased too, so
maybe. I'm not sure about him, man. Like one minute I think he's like my dog and he won't leave me alone, and then another minute I'm like, do you hate me? But that I mean, people are like that too around me, so maybe it's just me, So Micah, you were on the water today and you had a better day today?
I did, yeah. Like what we were talking about earlier, last 2 days I struggled. I was telling Kody that I wasn't just on the struggle bus; I was driving that dude. And today, finally, come across a decent fish. But yeah, so we were talking about before we started that I caught the trifecta, and you caught the trifecta.
Yeah, it's got to be the first time in recorded history that two people were on a Facebook Live podcast about catfishing that caught the Catfish Slam, which is the channel blue flathead, in the same day.
Yeah. Of course, Kody, he said he had some house stuff to do or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, what a loser.
Let me get my fishing pole out real quick. I'll be back.
No, I won't rub it in too bad that I caught a couple dandies today, but I'm gonna rub it in a little bit.
Yeah, my biggest today was he was about mid-40s.
Yeah. Mine, you beat me on big fish, but total, my top three probably weighed, well, I got a 35, a 35, and a 3. Yeah. Dropped off substantial. So we'll just stick with the top two. 2 for 70.
Well, see that big fish I caught today, 2 months ago, he'd have probably weighed 36, 38 pounds, but he just had a gut on him so thick.
Oh, if we're talking about fish, I'm pretty stoked to share this one. I had a client reel in a 50-plus pound flathead for the first time in 4 years. First time it's happened to me in 4 years, so it's pretty jacked up about that one. Fish went 52, and to have it end up in the boat almost Thanksgiving. Granted, where I'm at, like they pop up pretty much 12 months out of the year, but to me, it just as a Midwest guy, it still feels extra special to get one this late. I mean, the water's like 60 something, so it's not that weird, but it made that guy's day, probably made that guy's life, and definitely, I don't know who was more excited, like me or him.
So I guess since we're on flatheads, because I caught a 50. What was it last week? I caught that 52. I sent you that picture. That'd been last week.
Yep.
So so Kody, what's your biggest flathead?
My biggest flathead is 68.
Oh, you just gotta rub it in like that.
I caught him back in June, and It was a stud. It was a stud.
Like,
And
like this last June?
Yeah, this past June, yeah. And before that, I had caught a 62, and then I've caught several 50s and a lot in the high 40s. I mean,
I've only seen one flathead in my life 60 pounds or bigger, and it was, well, I snagged one, but I don't count that. But I saw one weighed in at a tournament that weighed 60.000. Like, what's the odds that you catch a flathead that is 60 to the nearest what? Thousandth?
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty precise right there.
That's the biggest one I've ever seen, like weighed in and everything like that. So Micah catches giant flatheads, you catch giant flatheads, and then you have me somewhere in this conversation.
Just been blessed. I love catching them, but I'm telling you, a big blue, that excites me too.
Well, they roast the fishing rod. You know, the best part about a blue, so I think they're like flip-flop. You know, flathead, to me, the bite leaves a little bit to be desired lots of times, but the fight is better on a pound-for-pound basis. Where the blue, like the bite is super exciting, and then the fight can sometimes leave a little bit to be desired, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I've had mad blue cats before. I mean, you think he was 100 pounds the way he hit, and you really mean about 15 to 20 pounds, and he'll about rip the rod off the back of the boat.
Yep. Yeah. It's like they blow their wad right off the bat. That's all they got. On a side note of that one, I dabbled in shark fishing. Well, I actually didn't dabble. I was like obsessed with it for a long time, but I was fishing on South Padre Island. I guess the location, all that doesn't matter. I had a rod get absolutely roasted in a way that I've never seen a shark rod get roasted at that time. And that fish pulled off. I mean, I was fishing a Penn Senator 6-aught, which is a small reel for shark fishing. It's a giant reel compared to what we're using catfishing. But this fish pulled off 200-300 yards a line right off the bat under 20 or 30 pounds of drag. I was like, holy cow, I'm into something special. And then I thought it came off. And I just cranked it all the way in like there was nothing on there. And when it gets close to shore, I see a fin pop up, and it was like a 6.5-ish foot black tip that just spent it all. You know, just he hit the bait and just ran, and that was all he had.
Wow. I've never caught a shark like that. I'm gonna try to go this summer when it's real shark season around here and see if we can pull one in.
It's worth a try, man, because like it's not like you're very far.
No. I can be to the beach in an hour.
Yeah. So, and you've never caught a shark, and you're an hour from the beach?
Well, never a shark to melt anything. I mean, I've caught like little things, but never anything substantial.
Gotcha. You need to get with Bobby.
Yeah. That's who I'm gonna hit him up, and I know he goes all the time in the summer. He's got the gear for it.
So. Right. He's not very good, but he goes a lot.
There you go.
Well, Kody, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Like, I don't even really know you, and I don't want this to be like an interview, but it's going to have to be to some degree because I don't really know you very well. And we're going to do some fishing coming up in January, which I'm pretty excited about, and this is kind of a precursor to that. So this works out real good. But I mean, you're big on Facebook. You got a big TikTok following. Am I missing anything there?
No, that's pretty much it. So I'm just a school teacher who loves to fish. I teach high school science, and I've been catfishing my whole life. But I'd say maybe 3 years ago, I decided to kind of pull the trigger on like, well, I said I've got all these video clips and stuff that I've accumulated from years and years and years and years of fishing. I said I'm gonna just start posting a few of them here and there and sharing so people can see what I do and basically just show people what I'm doing. And I never in my mind thought it would take off or anything. And I post some TikTok videos here and there, and I mean they get a few views, and then I start picking up a few followers. And finally, I remember it vividly. It was actually Christmas Eve, 2022. I hit that magical 1,000 followers on TikTok where you can go live. I'm like, oh man, I got my 1,000 followers. I said, I'm so excited. I said, I'm gonna go fishing today, and I'm gonna go live. So I head to the river, and I have no clue how I'm gonna do this. I didn't have a charger for my phone. My phone battery died like 2 hours into the live. But I get out there to the river, get set up. My little tripod's trying to blow over in the wind. I set it up though, and hit go live, and people pop in there, and it was just meant to be because it won't. 3 minutes after I started that live, I had already had the rods casted out so I could talk to the people. I'm sitting there looking at the camera in the back. I see one of the rods just laid down. It just kept going, kept going, kept going. I said, "What in the world?" I run back there. I thought a log had come through, and it was about a 60-pound blue cat. So my first ever TikTok live. 3 minutes in, I've boated a 60-pound blue.
Dang.
And I've got thousands of people in there watching, and it goes crazy. And then from there, it just took off. It was really amazing. And I've been very blessed with having good following there. But basically, all story short, I'm just a school teacher who loves to fish, and share my fishing adventures with y'all. So I enjoy doing it, and branching kind of out into the YouTube side of things now. I'm nowhere near where y'all are at with it. But it's fun. I enjoy it. My buddy Ryan Saunders, he's I mean, I can't put a value on him because of how much he does in terms of the film work, the drone work, the camera angles, all that stuff that he handles. But I'm really excited about the YouTube part of it. It's growing, and there's just so much more work that goes into making the long form content than short form stuff, like for little TikTok reels and Facebook reels. There ain't nothing goes into that. But long form videos, it's a lot of work. I'm sure y'all appreciate how much work goes into it.
Yeah.
So you're speaking to the choir on that one.
Yeah.
I put way more work into it than Micah does because Micah actually has a good personality, and I need to cover mine up with fancy videography skills.
Yeah, well, see, like for me, I'm still learning every single day. I'm still learning, and I've been doing it full time for about a year now. So I learned, fishing with Spence and fishing with other people. I learned so much, So I'm learning every day. So it'll just get better. Like for you, that's the biggest thing you could do, man. Is just take away from the day. Learn something from the day, whether it be the fishing part or the editing part. You'll figure it out.
What Kody, what's the longest you've ever went live on TikTok or anything else?
The longest I've ever live streamed on TikTok is probably about 14 hours straight. I went.
I don't think I can do anything for 14 hours straight.
No. And I went to the river, and I got out there before sunset and started fishing, set up, hit go live. Fished all night long. I mean, continuously throughout the night. Sun come up the next morning, fished till about 9 a.m. before I finally called it quits. So that was a long period of time to be on the camera. I'm telling you, there might have been a time or two about 3 o'clock in the morning where I fell asleep on live TV.
Well, that was my next question. Like, dude, I love night fishing, but I'll be quite honest. I find a spot, I like to post up, and the sun goes down at 9, and there's lots of times where I'm asleep by 10. You guys, looks like you guys just run and gut.
Yeah, so I'm surprisingly not a very much a night person. Like during my normal weekly schedule, I mean, I'm kind of just, I guess, like a little old man that's not old, but
Dude,
I go to bed like at 9:30, 10 o'clock every night during the week because I have to get up so early.
I'm gonna interrupt you only because I'm gonna say it's funny how much we're alike in that way. Like, we both taught science. You're probably a morning person by the sounds of it, but you have to turn yourself into a night owl when the weather gets nice so you can chase flatheads.
Yep. So in the summertime, I basically go on night shift. I'll get my bait together in the morning. I'll go head down there to the creek, whatever, catch me a dozen, 2 dozen brim, bluegill, whatever you want to call them. Throw them in the live well, and then I go sleep, and then I get up and go fish all night long. And And I ain't gonna lie, I might pound about 4 energy drinks while I'm out there, and then things are bad, but I do it. But yeah, I run and gun because I'm a firm believer, especially on these small river systems like I fish. We're not fishing any sort of huge river system like the Ohio or the Mississippi, where you've got a huge volume of water and these fish are moving back and forth. It's not that type of situation. We're basically fishing these small rivers with isolated holes in them where you've got deeper water and structure. And in my opinion, I mean, I feel like if I pull up on a spot, especially for a big flathead, if I don't have him after about 45 minutes, I'm not saying he's not there because he very well could be there, but he's not actively feeding, I don't believe, at that time. So I'll pack it on up and move to another spot, and I'll do that all night long till I find one. And it normally works out in my favor. Sometimes you get lucky and you hit one about every spot, but sometimes you hit 2 or 3 spots in a row with no real luck. I mean, you'll catch something small, but I kind of run and gun. I'll reel them up and move a lot.
What's the most flatheads you've ever caught in a night?
The most flatheads I've ever caught in a night, probably. I mean, I don't have an exact number, but I would say in the 20s. But now that's of all sizes. I mean, that's not huge flatheads. I mean, we're talking. You catch some 5-pounders, you catch some 10-pounders.
Flathead's flathead, bud.
Either way, yeah, either way.
But yeah, these rivers around here, I mean, like I said, it's such a small river system that in the summer when that water's low and you're talking huge stretches of the river are I mean, you're talking like you can walk across the river and it's not 6 inches deep.
Small's a matter of perspective, man. You got, and you know who you're. I don't know if you know who you're talking to, but I'm kind of a connoisseur of small rivers. Like they're my absolute favorite, and I've seen some lives and some videos of the stuff you do, and I mean that where I live, that's a big river. It really is, and but I totally get the whole, shallow stretches, long distances. There's a reason you got a jet. It's not on accident.
Yeah, but you blast on in there, and you find that spot where you got about 6 to 8 foot of water and some structure, and you're in business. You're in business.
Yep. No, that's interesting. I've thought about the whole run and gun thing, but doesn't running a shallow river, like you got like some of them I've seen are just full of giant ass boulders and stuff, man. Doesn't that make you a little nervous at night running? I mean, even with the jet and everything.
Yeah, so certain stretches do. I've been very fortunate that I've only totaled my boat once. And that's a true story.
I hope that was supposed to be a joke.
No.
I mean, you only total it once, but I feel like that should be sarcasm, if not.
Yeah. But no, so you just gotta be real careful. I've traversed these rivers so much that
they change, man.
Well, the boulders don't.
Fair enough.
They don't move. That's what scares me is boulders, logs, and sandbars. They don't worry me. They kind of bring you to a stop gently, but a boulder. Now I'm telling you, I had a close call. It's been probably 3 weekends ago. I was on the upper Cape Fear, and it was low. I knew better. It was lower than I like to run it, but I said, daggone, I'm going to go catch a fish. So I put in and took off, and I made it about 2 miles up, and there was one boulder. It was just submerged where you couldn't see it the way the wind was blowing, and it didn't create a big ripple. I nailed it. It dented the boat, but it threw me forward, and I bit a hole through my lower lip.
Oh, man.
Yeah, boom! I'm pretty sure it was on the steering wheel of the boat. I go, bam! My whole face. I come up, blood everywhere. I was like, good God! I mean, it was bad, but yeah, I've learned to be careful. But these shallow rivers, a lot of them around here, they're just sand. And as long as you don't run up on the actual sandbar, I can pretty well just zig and zag and get through them.
You ever thought about putting that UHPW on the bottom of your boat?
Yeah, so my boat actually has it's not got the UHMW. It's got something similar though. It's called K5 polyurea.
Okay.
It was sprayed on. It's sprayed on, but it's not like I don't know how to explain. It's a very hard polymer. It's almost like UHMW. It's pretty thick because I've gouged it in a few spots, and it's about a 1/4 inch thick, and If it weren't for that, yeah, I would have definitely totaled my boat more than once.
I'm thinking about getting back to the jet boat life. Well, I'm going to get a little one. There's a guy who's holding it for me. I talked about it last podcast. I'm pretty jacked up about it. It's a 1752 tiller with a 60/40 jet on the back, and it'll be like a little adventure rig. And that's one thing about jet boating is you beach it on a sandbar by yourself. If you have a big rig, you got a lot of work ahead of you, but if you got a smaller one that doesn't weigh as much, you can pretty much shove it off the sandbar by yourself.
Pushing it out the sand ain't no fun. I tell you, I've been very fortunate. I've never beached it completely by myself. I've come close, but back in June we had a tournament on a little river here called the Tar River, and we run. I'll put it to you this way: the game plan, everybody had to launch from the same ramp. And the ramp that we launched from, there's good water there, but as you go up this river, it very quickly just turns into nothing. And my game plan, I said, I'm going to go as far as I can up there and get these little holes and fish. Well, we ran 46 miles up that river.
How do you have enough gas? Like them jets just guzzle. How big is
so my boat's got a 19-gallon tank. So obviously I filled it completely up. And then we took in 5-gallon cans, we took 25 extra gallons of gas. and we had that gas, we had it ratchet strapped down to the front deck, and we hauled ass and we took off up that river. And we zigged and zagged and dodged sandbars, and about 3 occasions going up it, we hit and about beached it. And I told my buddy that was fishing with me that night, I said, dude, we're going to be in trouble in the morning because weigh-in was at 7. I said, we're going to have to traverse going back down to make it. I said, we're going to have to leave at like 5 in the morning just to make it to weigh-in. I said, if we get stuck, it's over. I said, if we get stuck, it's over. And sure enough, we made it maybe 15 miles back down the river. And we beached it. We sat there. It took us 2.5 hours of back-breaking shoving because we could not get it to move. We finally had to get behind the boat, sit down on the bottom of the river because it was literally like that much water. Sit down and push with our legs and back. And every time we would push, the boat would move about maybe that far. And we had to do that for probably 100 yards. Like the length of a football field.
I've been there, bud. Except my boat that I had was a 2072, and I beached it bad enough one time where 3 grown men hop out, and on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, heave, and we moved it exactly 0 inches. But thankfully, I had a gear puller in the boat and some winch rope, which I don't think I'd ever own a big jet without it. Like this little one, maybe I'll throw something like that in there. Maybe I won't, but a big one, man, there ain't no way. But I want to circle back just because I'm curious. So do you think like that big fish that you caught on TikTok right off the bat had anything to do with like blowing up just to some level?
I don't really know. I know that it caused that initial surge on there because it went from I was sitting there talking. I had maybe 120 people in the room when I was sitting there talking, and hell, that blew my mind because when the first time I ever went TikTok live, I said, man, I'll be happy if I get like 5 or 6 people in here hanging out, asking some questions while we're fishing, just chilling. So I was already stoked to have like 100 people in there. But when I went back there and caught that fish, obviously catching that fish took a few minutes. By the time I got him in the boat, I forgot my net that day. It was a whole ordeal. I left my net at home, so I'm sitting over there hanging over the side of the boat, like grabbing this blue cat by the mouth. And them blue cats, they try to break your wrist when you grab them. So I sling him over the side of the boat, and I come back up to the camera, and there's 2,600 people in there. I'm like, crap.
That'd be weird, dude.
Yeah. I said, well, I was like nervous at that point. I said, what in the world's going on? But yeah, I'm not for sure that had anything to do with it, but
well,
I know people love 2 things. They love entertaining personalities, which I kind of fall short of. I feel like I'm a boring person, but they love action. They love catching fish. And I just got very blessed that initial TikTok live. As soon as they popped in there, we had that going on. So,
well, the only reason I ask is obviously there's more to it to have continued success. Like you got to work yourself. I mean, the fact that you said you did a 14-hour live, like, to me, that's mind numbing. Like, I did a live for maybe an hour. I guess doing this is the longest live I've ever done, but 14 hours just blows my mind. But I asked to circle it back because, like Micah, we talked about that a while back, how your second state record and getting that on video is like that initial pop that really helps with the whole social media side of things, where, you know, you have that one fish that kind of gets you rolling in the right direction.
But well, yeah, for me, it dangerous out. But you're going back to what he was talking about going live. I mean, that's I mean, you can't edit nothing out, so you got to be pretty good the whole entire time. Because I know I do some weird or dumb stuff that I definitely edit out of my videos. So, I mean, I commend you for doing the lives like that, and then I guess keeping it in a manner to where people still want to watch it the next time.
See, I cuss a lot. That's my problem. like when you do, you know, it's not something that I want to throw out to the public just because, you know, you don't know who's watching. Maybe there's like some 8-year-old kid watching, and I don't want to hear me dropping F-bombs or whatever. But when I'm out there, like, you know, Micah, like, I kind of cuss like a soldier at times.
Well, so like me and you know, I mean, I did 21 years in the military. I picked up a few words or two.
You have extensive vocabulary.
So, but no, like I said, with, you know, just trying to, you know, we do real well in front of the camera, where when you're live, it's out there. I mean, you can't take it back. You can't edit it out. So that's kind of cool. I don't watch many, to be honest with you, as far as TikTok. I'm actually not on TikTok, but it's just kind of cool seeing some of the clips that some people put out there. Just the composure and stuff like that. Because, you know, 60-pound blue, it's a good chance you'll lose some sort of composure if something goes wrong, or, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I'll probably let one slip here or there, but for the most part, try to keep it PG out there. And being a school teacher kind of helps with that, because obviously my patience gets tried during the day when I'm working. And
dude, having the teacher filter is an asset, you know. And then, so the YouTube thing too versus the live, like, I can, even if I do drop an F-bomb or whatever, I just go chop, chop, gone, you know, or bleep it out or whatever.
Put the train horn.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that, or I can make it look like it never happened. And you have to be paying really close attention to know that, oh, Spencer dropped an F-bomb, you know. So the doing the live for 14 hours, like, having the teacher filter for 8 hours teaching and then following it up with 14 more hours of being on live, like, you're a saint, bud.
I'll tell you this. I've perfected being on live to the point that people have asked a very frequent question. They're like, look, you've been on live for like 12 hours, 10 hours, whatever. They're like, dude, do you ever use the bathroom? And I'm like, the world will never know.
Dude, being a teacher helps with that too. Like, you take a piss when you can, you know, and if you can't, then you got to hold it.
Yeah, but no, the trick though. Okay, I'll spill the beans on the trick. So obviously I'm that run and gun type fisherman where I move. Well, every time I move spots, I'm like, all right, y'all, we're gonna flip the camera forward so y'all can see the boat ride. And I go up there, I pull my little anchor up and get ready to move. And then when I come back there to my console, crank the boat, and I get ready to move spots, I flip it forward where I'm driving. And once I know that camera's forward and I've got the boat motor running, where you can hear the boat motor back there.
Yeah.
I'm standing there. I'm driving the boat with one hand, and that's the trick of the trade right there.
You know, it's the little things like that. You know, maybe I'll go do a live tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, but I'm definitely not on your level. Talk about learning stuff. I have a lot to learn if I want to keep doing the live thing. But circling back real quick, Ryan was going to be on here too, but he had to work or something. I mean,
what's that like?
Yeah. Well, it just depends on how you look at it. Like technically, I woke up at 5, which was probably 4 hours after Micah woke up, and then got on the water, and then I got off the water at 5:30 and cleaned a Flathead and went and showered real quick and made sure Skip got a shower too. And I don't know, work's kind of a weird thing. Like, what is work technically? Like, does work have to not be fun to be work?
That's a good question.
It's just kind of hard. I mean, what I enjoy is, what I'm doing now, but technically it's a job, so I definitely enjoy it.
I enjoyed teaching, but I taught junior high though, so I student taught, and I did junior high for 8 weeks, and then I did AP Bio for 8 weeks, and after that, I was like, I want to teach junior high. And
right. And I'm the complete opposite. So I've wound up now. The school I teach at is a junior senior high. So we've got 7 through 12 all on the same campus. And I have taught every single grade. I've taught 7th grade science, 8th grade science, earth science, which is 9th grade course. I've taught biology. I've taught physical science, and I've taught chemistry. I've taught everything from 7 to 12. And let me tell you, the few times that they've dumped a section of 7th and 8th grade science on me, bless middle school teachers, because dude, I'm telling you, I couldn't put up with them 12-year-old kids all day long every day.
You just got to be meaner than them, man. And I am meaner than a 12-year-old, if you can believe that.
I love teaching. It seems to me like my favorite grade level is probably the juniors, because they're old enough that they've matured just a little bit. They're typically all right. Most of them, you get one.
They're boring, man. Like, you can't get excited. You can't get, you can't yell, hoot and holler. You can't get worked up about something that you think's cool, and then you're not cool, and then they don't listen. Like, that's the thing I love about junior high kids is they're already freaking excited. You don't have to get them jacked up. And if you're jacked up about something, they're even more excited. So it's all a win-win. You just got to funnel the enthusiasm in the direction you want to go, which I really enjoyed that. And if any kid gave me a hard time, like, I talk trash better than any 12-year-old, When they get a little older and smarter, it might be a little different story. But, some kid's going to come at me and run his mouth, like, okay, I like to run my mouth too. So it's a win-win. Like, I enjoy that. And honestly, a lot of kids, when they come at you like that, they get a kick out of it. And then they ended up respecting you more at the end of the day. And, you build that relationship, and it just leads to a good time. So, like, I'm a junior high guy. If I ever have to go back to teaching for whatever reason, I'm going to go back to junior high. And it's just too slow in high school for me.
I can see that.
Micah, you think you'd ever teach?
Well, I mean, I didn't teach kids, but I was an instructor for 3 years in the military, so I taught, adults. Well, supposed adults.
See, that's where I would struggle. Like, if I'm teaching a 12-year-old kid who acts like a 12-year-old, okay. You teach an adult who acts like a 12-year-old, I'd have a harder time with that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you two guys know that. Know this. It's just all about command presence. As long as you have it, you control the room. You pretty much control, the whole thing that's going on in the room, the scenario, so to speak. So, no, I absolutely enjoyed it. The 3 years that I was doing it, I absolutely enjoyed it. I would have kept doing it, but, I would have had to re-enlist and all that stuff, and I was ready to retire.
Sure. Lance asked in the comments, how about 11-year-old Brock on Red Rock? So that's one thing I absolutely love about guiding is, like, I've had people ask me if I miss teaching, and I don't miss teaching because I still get to teach, like the whole guiding aspect. I'm answering questions. We're talking about fishing stuff all day. And instead of teaching science, I'm teaching fishing. And that's my absolute favorite subject. Like I like science. I love fishing. And Brock, and I've had a handful of other kids in that 8 to 14-year-old range. And I've been fortunate that those kids who hop in the boat are just as ate up with fishing as me. And man, I love that. Like, I mean, I'm kind of tripping over my words right now, but like having those kids in the boat who are just as excited or more excited about fishing just does nothing but get me more excited about fishing. You see that genuine enthusiasm, and it's awesome.
I'll completely agree with you on that. I mean, I'm no catfish guide, but I take people fishing. Just people.
Then you're a catfish guide that doesn't get paid.
Yeah.
So I take people fishing that never been catfishing, or they've never been catfishing like I go catfishing. I mean, their idea of catching a catfish is putting a chicken liver on a hook and going to the pond and catching a bullhead. So you take them out there, and I mean, I'm not going to say I get bored with fishing. Obviously, I don't, because I wouldn't do it if I was bored. But I take for granted. I've caught so many catfish in my life that when I catch a 10-pounder, it doesn't excite me. I mean, it's a fish. I reel it in, and I mean, it's move on about your business. But you take somebody out there who's never been, and they catch a 10, 15-pound fish, and oh my God, it's huge. They think it's the biggest fish in the world. They're excited, and it's almost to a point where I enjoy taking somebody and watching them catch a fish like that more than I enjoy catching that same fish myself. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to go catch a big one now, 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds. Yeah, that gets me fired up. That's why I go is the hunt for the next big one. But the taking somebody out there that's never really done it like that and just seeing how excited they get. I mean, that really, I mean, I love watching that, because people, it's an addiction. When somebody hooks a fish like that, a lot of them, that's just, they don't realize it, but they're in for a lifetime of chasing that thrill. I know I was one.
I mean, I totally get it. And hearing you talk about how you don't get excited over a 10-pound fish, maybe that's why I really enjoyed teaching junior high, because I'm basically a giant 12-year-old who does get excited about catching a 10-pound fish. But I mean, I get excited about all of them. Now, granted, I'm less excited about a 10-pounder when I'm geared up to catch a 50-pounder. But if I'm going, I mean, I absolutely love channel catfishing. And it's just such a nice contrast to chasing the big fish. You know, like you go out, you try to go flathead fishing, and in my neck of the woods, you don't ever hear anybody catching 20-some flatheads. Like, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm not aware of it. So you're going out fishing for a fish. It feels like more like hunting than it does fishing. But then you go channel catfishing, and you can go catch 40, 50. I mean, the best day I ever had, sun up to sundown, I caught like 70-some channel cats on one fishing rod floating a bobber in a dinky little creek, man. It was absolutely awesome. And that's just such a fun change of pace. And I feel like the catfish specific world has this big push towards big fish, big fish, big fish. But most people out fishing are just chasing channel rats. And I mean, they're a good time, especially on small water. You go float a little creek and go catch a bunch of channel cats. And I can't think of a thing. There's very few things that I'd rather do on a hot July day than go put on some cut off jeans and wade a creek and catch a bunch of channel cats drifting a bobber or something like that. Man,
I have to say that when me and you fished that muscatine tournament, I got a little bit better respect for a channel cat now. So I kind of, especially today, I got kind of excited when I caught a channel cat, where before I would be like, a channel cat.
There's something about them, man. They're just mean, you know. Too. I was dragging baits 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was like, I'm gonna put out a giant bait. So I had a 2 or 3 pound skipjack, and I just cut his tail off, hooked him through the nose, and put a stinger in his back, and had a 7-pound channel cat catch that back stinger. But I mean, that bait's, 2 pounds probably. So a 7-pound fish trying to eat a 2-pound bait, and he still got that back hook. Like, they're mean, man. And if that's not respectable, I don't know what is.
Oh, absolutely. And I will target them. I love to target them in the spring. April's my favorite month to catch the channels around here. And if I target them with kind of lighter gear. I mean, I got there with a little spinning rod and target brush piles on the river. And I mean, I've never caught 70, but a good day you can catch 25, 30. I mean, they're good eating too. I keep some channel cats. I love a fried channel. That's good eating, but they are mean pound for pound. I'd say they're probably meaner than a blue or a flathead. I mean,
without question.
If channel cats got to be 50 pounds, I'd be scared of them, honestly.
Bigger gear.
They'd be eating 50 pounds. They'd be eating 10, 12, 15 pound baits or trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, you stick your fingers in their mouth. I mean, they'll crunch down on you and make. I've never been crunched like that by a flathead or a blue. I mean, blues will bite you, but a channel now, he'll make you think that finger's coming off for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever think the world record channel cat will get broke?
No.
What do you think, Micah?
Well,
56 pounds.
I don't think
I go back and forth on this, and me and you have talked about this. Was it a hybrid or was it a true channel cat?
I mean, what do they look like when they get 50 plus pounds? Because you look at 100-pound blue. 100-pound blue looks a lot different, not just size wise, but proportions and everything.
Because I'll tell you, and a matter of fact, we had a question about this earlier in the comments. But I'll tell you, like the Tennessee state record has been around since the 50s, channel cat. But it's a black and white picture, okay. But if you pay attention to it, and I've caught a handful of what we would call hybrids, which are, where channels, they breed a little too close to blues, so they carry some of the traits of the blues.
How do you know they're hybrids, though? They look like they should be hybrids, but how do you know?
That's true. I mean, how do you know? But if you look at it, I know that I've caught a couple that were all the features of a channel cat, but they just had some of the small features of a blue. So, but now they've only been like probably 15. Well, I say 15, but they've probably been like 5-10 pounders. But I don't. It's hard to say because it does happen. It happens in bass species. It happens in the catfish world. It does happen.
Well, you got the contacts, so you catch one that you think's a hybrid, and you can get people come in and give it a DNA test, and you can find out.
That's actually something we've talked about because I wanted that question answered to figure out if because all it takes is a little fin clip, and they can figure a lot from that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've asked that, but since then I haven't caught one, so it'll happen again. I've only probably since I've lived here in Tennessee, I've only ever probably caught maybe 3.
So talking about discrepancies in state records, South Dakota, which you saw the picture of the old channel cat record. It was obviously a blue, and it was actually caught by the guy who has the state record blue cat. He also had the channel cat record, quotation marks, channel cat record. And they got rid of it. They opened it up. They said, that's definitely a channel or definitely a blue, and we're going to open it up. And I think that was 2 years ago. And since then, there's been a new state record certified. But I'm with you, Kody, on the world record. I don't think it'll ever be beat.
No, 50.
A true channel cat, I don't think it will.
I don't think anybody will touch that.
No.
What about the flathead?
I don't think that either. 123. That's in my opinion. I mean, there's not to my knowledge been but just a very, very few, like 2 or 3 confirmed flatheads 100 pounds. I mean, so to the 120 that's an astronomical number. I mean, for a flathead,
it's too far away. Like. You think about it, you caught a 68 is your biggest ever, and I
would need 2 of those put together.
That's what I'm saying. Like a 68 is a freak, man, like an absolute monster gong show of a flathead, and you got to slap 2 of them together basically to get to the world record.
Well, okay, so I'll say just based off of the fish that I've caught over the years, I'll say he's out there. He just ain't been found yet.
I don't think he's out there.
I think he is. That's it. That's because I always think, that's a possibility regardless of where I fish. Now, granted, obviously habitat, water, all that stuff plays a big role in it. But
I'm
I'm a firm believer he's out there.
I as soon as I said that, I kind of take it back, man. Like, I think he's out there. I don't think he's in your river as much as I would. I think it would be really cool if.
Well, I believe he's in there. That's why I fish every day.
Well, I think there's more likely a world record blue in your river than a world record flathead. Not saying, I mean, they can pop a bit. Well, that's one of the cool things about flatheads, man. Like blue
They can
cats
pop up in waters that you don't expect.
That's
Right.
what I'm saying. Like blue cats.
Blue cats, there's probably only realistically 4, maybe 5 bodies of water in the United States that could produce a world record blue cat.
Probably.
But flatheads, any given body of water that's got them in there, you never know, because they just, I mean, I've seen 60-pound flatheads get pulled out of a glorified ditch. I mean,
Dude,
they
one of the ditches
they don't need that massive volume of water to grow like a blue does.
One of those ditches that I fish, and it's like you said, a ditch, and I'm in there kayak fishing. I know of a 100% documented 67-pounder that came out of there, and I kid you not, like you can jump from one side to the other when the water's low in lots of spots, if you have any athletic ability at all. Like Bobby's in the comments. I don't think Bobby could hop from one side to the other, but
I've seen flatheads in such small bodies of water that they'll actually wind up trapped. Like the water goes away to a point that the fish are trapped.
oh yeah,
I mean,
that's you just described every waterway in Iowa.
I mean, so it's really crazy. It's mind blowing the conditions that they thrive under versus the conditions that big blues thrive under. I mean, if you don't have a huge body of water or a substantial amount of bait fish, you're not going to have big blues. But flatheads, it just seems like, I mean, I don't even know what they're eating. What does a flathead that's at 70 pounds in a creek eat? Like yeah, there's brim and minnows in there, but like that thing's got to eat a lot. Like, what's he in there eating?
Other catfish,
Drum, channel cats, other flatheads. They don't give a crap, you know.
It just blows my mind though that they can. It's crazy. It's nothing that surprises me with them.
Randall Mosier, man, I appreciate all the support. I butchered your last name, I'm sure, but he said that Santee is a record-breaking lake, and it might be. I've heard amazing things for a long time, but you said 4 or 5 bodies of water that has a legit shot at breaking a world record. And I'm curious where your head's at, because I think I'm going to add to it. There might be more.
Okay, so my head for world record blues, I really don't think Santee. Do I think there's some really nice fish in Santee? Yes. Do I think it's got the ingredients for a world record? Yes. But I think
it's an ocean. I think it's an inland ocean, though.
Yeah. I know, but if you look at historically what comes out of there, and the amount of pressure that it gets, the amount of fishing that goes on there, and it's not producing those quality fish. It's just I just got my suspicions if there's a world record in there. But my list, in case it's not a very long list, obviously Bugs Island here in North Carolina, Virginia, it's produced the 3 biggest blues ever caught. I mean, he's in there. There's another world record in that lake. The next lake down from it, Lake Gaston, it's not produced one in that size range, but it's produced a lot of big fish. I mean, Zach Royce was the 2-time state record holder out of that lake, and it's produced fish up to 120 pounds, so they're in there. I think Wheeler Lake in Alabama could produce a world record. And then I think that the Mississippi River, specifically, I think the lower Mississippi. I think somewhere on that lower end, Louisiana, that area. I feel like he's down there if there's one. That would be my top 4. The outside shot would be somewhere like I mean, I don't know where where Micah fishes. I mean, he look at the quality fish he's catching. So do I think he's caught the biggest fish out of that river? No.
So I know I haven't. I haven't.
So there's your fifth option. I don't think the James River has world record quality fish in it. I think the James River's got an abundance of very large fish. I think it's got an abundance of 60, 70, 80-pound fish. And then you've got fish in the 90s and a few that hit that triple-digit mark. But I just think there's so much current there that them fish are fighting every day of their life that's why you don't see them really get past 100 very often in there. You see so many 60s, 70s, 80s, but it's like it fizzles out beyond that point. So I would say that those are the top five.
So I'll say no on Wheeler. Maybe it's an unpopular opinion. I think the state record came out of there and it was 120 something. Not saying there isn't a world record in the Tennessee River. I just don't think it's in Wheeler. I think it might be in some other reservoir stretches on it, but Wheeler just gets pounded, man. Like, and then seems like the further down you go, the more pressure you get, commercial and recreational. The one you left off, though, the big one you left off was the Missouri, and that's I mean, I get it. It's a long ways from where you live. You don't think about it, but there's the biggest fish I hear of in the Midwest come out of there. Now, before anybody's like, man, let's make a road trip to the Missouri River, it's feast or famine. Like, and it is amazing. That's one thing I've learned in tournament fishing is no matter how tough the fishing is, somebody always gets them, except on the Missouri River. Like, I fished a tournament with 80-some boats last March, and I want to say 50 teams didn't weigh a fish out of 80-some teams. And the guy who got second place, this is the Missouri River to a T. The guy who got second place did not catch a limit. The limit was 3. He caught 2. But one of them was 112 pounds or some shit like that. That's how that freaking river works out. But that's one. And then, yeah, I'd agree. Like the Cumberland River is definitely an outside shot at that.
I agree.
And I'm not saying it couldn't just randomly pop up out of some place you don't expect, but the usual the bet nods, I think we've named pretty much all of them.
Well, there's got to be some level of fertility in a watershed for fish to grow. To a degree, though, that's one thing. Flatheads seem to thrive off of that. And when I say fertility, I mean like fertile soil and like the Midwest. You know, that the world record flathead came out of Kansas, and I don't think that's by accident. So you get like Kansas, Nebraska, even Iowa, and then Oklahoma, Texas, like those. The places between the mountains, I think, are prime flathead areas. But then when it comes to the blues, okay, you have watersheds that are less fertile, like Lake Ouachita or South California reservoirs that kick out those 80 to 110-pound fish. But they're in places that, even though you have those giants, they don't get great numbers of them, so people don't fish for them a lot. But
and I think there's a lot to that. So I think another option for your next world record blue, it could be from a body of water that currently we don't know as a blue fishery, because these things get introduced all different places. I feel like when a blue cat gets introduced to the lake, when they're first introduced, you have that very initial surge where the fish that are present, they grow to tremendous size because there's no competition. I feel like new fisheries, and I'm not saying new like the first 4 years, but I'm saying new like within the first 20 years of them showing up in that lake, those fish grow at just astronomical rates because they're not competing against thousands of other blues out there.
There's lots of food, you know,
exactly.
like
there's abundance of food. So could potentially they be somewhere right now? It's a ticking time bomb, and in 25 years you have a fishery pop up that nobody's looking at right now, and in 25 years from now, it's producing 125, 130-pound fish. I mean, that's a very real possibility.
Well, that's one thing that interests me about like Florida Panhandle and Georgia reservoirs and rivers. Like, God, I can't remember exactly how big it was, but the Florida state record blue cat. Somebody Google it and let me know in the comments. But I want to say it's 120 pounds. Came out of a ditch, the Choctawhatchee River, and I'm pretty sure it's over 100, but I want 120 is what comes to mind, and that is a small. I mean, for blue cats, it's a small river. So, like, if that river can kick out something like that, who knows what else a lot of them other ones can kick out in the next 10, 20 years? Are they the next big thing? I don't know. I love fishing down in those areas, I'll tell you that much. Crickets. Apparently,
I was waiting for the comments, but I'll also do
a comment there.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
But I don't think any of my local river systems could produce a world record quality fish. I know that the current state record is 127 pounds, and it was caught out of the Roanoke River. But I don't see that record going anywhere for a little while. It just and I think that fish was just the freak of nature. Have I caught some really nice fish out of the river? Yeah, but it just that's like an astronomical fish. Like there's not been anything ever close to that caught out of these river systems.
Oh, I was way off, by the way. I just Googled it. The Florida State record is
69.5 pounds.
Well, maybe it's the Georgia stretch. Yeah, 110. But that's out of the Chattahoochee. God, I was way off.
It's like
Choctawhatchee, Chattahoochee.
Yeah, same thing. There's only a state line. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're close. Just a few letters, a few letters difference. But yeah, that's a 110 pounder in Georgia. So I don't know, man. You never know. And then there's other ones like just places that people don't fish. Like at least people who are, doing dumb stuff like us and social media stuff and all that don't fish that much. Or there's not a traditional fishery that surrounds it. Like, who just brought it up? The Atchafalaya. That's one that Johnny Bott's Atchafalaya comes to mind. Like, that's a system that connects to the lower Mississippi. Like, who knows what come out of there? Like giant flatheads, giant blues, and there's people who fish it, but those waterways that are close to the ocean that they get skipped over by people. Like even catfishermen, they travel down south, they go to the ocean, they just skip those. They don't get the pressure.
There was a comment that said, would catfish eat trout?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. A catfish don't discriminate. He eats what he gets.
say trout, and I've also used store-bought salmon fillets.
I've been desperate before, and I couldn't get gizzard shad, and the bait shop was out of eels. I love eels here. That's an outstanding bait. But I was like, daggone, I said, I ain't gonna be able to fish. I said, I don't have any shad, I don't have any eels. So I went to the fish market, and they had some fresh mullet, not like jumping mullets. They had fresh mullet in there, and I said, give me 4 of them big old mullets. And I said, well, I said, this probably ain't gonna work. I said, but it's either this or go back to the house and not fish. And I went out there with them mullets, and them things are greasy and mushy and smelled. Oh, it was bad. But I cut them things up, and I caught fish all day long with them.
Dang.
That's what most people use down on the lower Mississippi. I mean, they're fairly easy to catch most of the time, and they're greasy, oily, bloody.
Oh yeah, they're bait. in saltwater. I know people love them for catching like red drum and stuff, and a catfish. I think a lot of times people overestimate. At the end of the day, a catfish it's a fish. I don't know that they have the ability to distinguish what type of, if you've got a piece of cut bait on the hook. Am I going to say that they don't have preference? No, because around here, gizzard shad is king. If there's certain times, if you're not fishing with gizzard shad, you're wasting your time. But at the same time, though, I just don't know that they differentiate when they come up and find a piece of bait. If they're hungry and they come up there and sniff it and their whiskers touch it and it's got fat, oil, protein, I just feel like they're going to eat it. I mean,
See, I'll disagree. Not with what you're saying exactly as you're saying, but different baits, different times of year. I don't know if it's the way they smell, the amount of oil, blood, whatever in the water, but there's some baits that seem to get them moving towards the bait better than others. Because, like,
oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. I've done it.
Cool, shad's where it's at, or back to the mullet thing. So everybody in southern Louisiana is fishing mullet, but on those Florida rivers, you can catch, like, you'll be 120 miles from the coast and you'll throw your cast net, you'll catch 2 big gizzards and a mullet.
Yeah.
And I used them all. I never caught a single catfish on a mullet there. Caught plenty of them on shad, but not a single catfish on mullet.
Yep.
Kept using it because that's what I had, but never
I've had days where I'll be anchored up, and to start with, I always kind of give them an array of baits. I mean, if I've got 3 different baits, I'll throw them. If I've got gizzard, shad, eels, and perch, I'll start out with a mixture of all of it out there until I notice a pattern. And some days there is no pattern. Some days it seems like they're just feeding. But I have one day where I had eels and I had gizzard shad, and I had 10 rods, and I alternated all the way around the boat. Eel, shad, eel, shad, eel, shad, all the way around. And it was like they were going out of their way to not bite the eel. Like the poles that had the eel on it, they didn't get a sniff, and the shad right next to it was getting just hammered. I mean, consistently. Right. And after about an hour of that crap, I said, you know what? I said, this eel has got to go. I reeled them in, and guess what? When I put that shad on there and threw them back out, they started getting hit again.
I bet.
I mean, same thing. It's the same thing with me when I go through the fall transition of, like, when because we use during the summer months, we use like a bluegill, white bass mainly, or white perch, I guess y'all call them there. But there's a point.
No, they're different.
Well, either way, yeah. But there's a point in that fall transition where they will just flat refuse to eat white bass.
Yes.
And here where I fish, that happened about probably 2 weeks ago, because I had skipjack and white bass out, and I had 3 rods with skipjack and 2 rods with white bass, and I caught, I don't know, all 3 rods went down twice. So we're talking 6 fish, and the same 2 pieces of white bass were out there and never got touched. So it's like, well, it's about time I quit using that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's got a lot to do in the wintertime. Your shad and your skipjack are very oily fish, and I almost feel like the blue cats, that's nutritionally what they need.
Yeah.
I mean, is that higher fat content?
You're 100% right on that, because that's exact. And I've played with this the last couple of years. I'm just trying to find that timing. But now, what I will throw a caveat in there though. So I have fished year before last. I fished nothing but bluegill into February and flat whacked them. Now, some days they wanted just the chunks. Most days they wanted fillets. So I don't know.
So Randall said, where'd it go? Said catfish in South Carolina, love crappie heads. And Randall, catfish everywhere, love crappie heads. They are a greasy, oily bait. And I mean, if we're being honest, crappies are delicious. And I love eating crappies.
Yeah.
I was going to say that if you're good enough, like I'm not, to catch crappie, I don't know why I can't catch crappie, but when I do come across them, I save every bits and pieces of them I don't eat to use them the next day for catfishing because that's winter, summer, spring, you name it. It's a pretty good bait.
I wish we could use them here. I'm an aspiring crappie fisherman. I'm a wannabe crappie fisherman, and I don't know. They're just really fun to catch, man.
I've been a wannabe for like 8 years, and I'm still not good at it.
There's places in Iowa where I feel okay. I'm not good. I'm not even like whatever the step below okay is. That's where I'm at. Not by a lot. Like I feel decent at being okay.
You're at that stage.
Yes, I'm at catching crappies. Certain times a year, and I know what to do if the moon lines up with the sun lines up with.
Yeah. Well, you're about 3 steps above me when it comes to catching crappie. Then
that's probably the only thing I'm 3 steps above yet. Like obviously not growing a beard, obviously not catching state record catfish, not catching 70-pound flatheads. Like I mean, the list just goes on and on. But
we watched the guy Sunday. Actually, we watched the guy. We were anchored up trying to catch a catfish, and a guy on a bass boat pulled up. I don't know, maybe 50 yards from us, and set his spot lock out. And he sat there and he was live scoping, but he sat there and waxed the crappie. We watched him. I mean, he was right consistent with it. You see him. He was watching that screen just. And then here come a crappie, and I was like, "Hang on!" I said, "Dude," I said, they might move. I said, but next time I come back, I said, I know a spot I'm gonna try for some crappie.
Tell you what, I'm really good at is using live scope and watching the crappie not eat your bait. Follow it. They'll follow it for like 5 feet and then turn around. That's what I'm really good at. And granted, I could probably put my bait under a bobber and work it slower and all that stuff. But if I can't feel that thump when I'm crappie fishing, I don't even want to catch them. Like to me, that's other than eating them, feeling that thud when they eat it. Like I just love that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and while I'm thinking of it, everybody who's taken the time to share this podcast, like thank you a lot. That helps a lot, and it's just super appreciated because that tells me that you think it's good enough that other people might want to listen to us ramble on about catfish and our terrible crappie fishing abilities and all these things. So thank you very much on that. So question for Kody is you're diving into the YouTube thing. Looks like you're having a lot of fun with the YouTube thing. Ryan is helping you with all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
How's that working? How's that dynamic work? Like you're the talent and he's the camera guy and edits. Like how's that all shake out?
Well, I mean, pretty much what you said is I fish and he films. And that's not something where I've like shunned him and said, dude, you got to just film it. Like I felt guilty about it. Like the first like several trips I went on, I'm like, dude, you got to reel in a fish at some point. And he keeps on assuring me, he's like, dude, he's like, no, I just have a passion for filming stuff, and I love being here and doing it, and he's very good at it. But yeah, the first couple of trips it felt weird. I'm like, dude, you've got to go like reeling a fish, like I feel like a douchebag because I'm back there just like, we got a fish on you, and I'm reeling him in, and he's filming, and I'm like, dude, you got to get on the action. But no, he films, he does all the edits, he does the drone work. And I mean, obviously, I try to catch fish. We've had a lot of trips lately where we weren't able to make a full episode. I mean, we were still get some short form content, but the fishing, honestly, sometimes it's just not good. And we've had a couple of dry spells, but we went last Sunday, had a real good time, caught some good fish. So that's gonna be a good episode coming out, but. Yeah, that's pretty much the dynamic. Is he's there, he does all the camera work and flies that drone. And first time he ever flew the drone while we were fishing, it was a close call. We almost wrecked the thing. So I'll try to post a video of it. But he was on the bank driving the drone, and I'm driving the boat. And here I come on the boat, and he swoops in front with the drone. And I'm not lying to you now. That drone, it come in, and he'll tell you if he's in the chat. That drone, I don't know how it did. I slammed in reverse on the boat. Like I said, I just slammed it into reverse. The boat slowed down. That's the only thing that stopped it, because where my trolling motor mounts to the front of the boat, that drone, it come that close to my trolling motor, like just. And I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "First trip out, we're gonna wreck the drone." I said, "That'll go bad."
Well, so what I was getting at too, though, was like, what led to you guys deciding to do a YouTube video? Like, so he's passionate about filming and editing video. Has he always been like that? Or was that something you guys decided on giving it a try? Or
I hope he's in the chat, and maybe he'll comment personally, because I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak for him, but I know how it all started was he saw me on TikTok, and started following me on TikTok. And he was watching my live streams and liked them. I believe he was actually the night that they were in the hospital, him and his wife having the baby. In the downtime, he was watching me on TikTok live fishing that night.
Oh man!
So my man was committed. But anyway, I mean, he's an awesome guy, and sometime, not this past summer, but the summer before, he messaged me. He said, "Look, dude," he's like, "I really enjoy your content. I love your stuff." He's like, Is there any way you could give me a mailing address? I want to send you something." I said, "Yeah, dude." I said, "You ain't got to send me nothing." I said, "That's cool." Well, about a week later, I forgot about it. A whole pallet of C4 energy drink showed up in the mail, because I mean that's what I drink when I'm on live stream. And this whole pallet of C4 energy drink showed up, and it had this handwritten letter about how much he enjoyed my my TikTok content, and it meant a lot to him. He's like, "Dude, if you ever want to get together," and he told me he had a camera and stuff, and liked to film. He's like, "If you ever want to get together and make it happen," he's like, "I'd love to go out there with you and film a trip." I'm like, "Okay, yeah." And we made it happen. We went, and the first trip we went, we didn't have YouTube in mind at this point, but we just went out there, had a good day on the water, had fun, and just kind of struck off a good friendship, and essentially now, I mean, I would consider him basically my best friend. Like, he's almost like a brother to me. So, it just worked out. It just worked out, and his schedule and my schedule work very well to where we can get out there at least once a week. But during the summer, sometimes more. We were grinding this past summer. We were out there twice a week. We'd fish Thursdays and Sundays, and we start pumping out 2 episodes a week. I mean, I mean, it don't take long to really build up a bank of content.
Unless you're putting out 2 or more videos a week, then it seems to like just disappear.
Yeah.
No, that's fun though, man. That's cool that it shook out that way. And it's cool that you ran across somebody who's passionate about those types of, like, that type of thing, to the point where you not only became friends, but you became friends out of utility. Like, you enjoy the fishing and the content creation side of it. He enjoys the filming and then like the work side of it, you know?
Oh yeah.
There's a kid that I know, Chase, who I screwed it up. Case, who, like, I've had him in the boat. He just wants to film. He wants to film, and I'm like, reel in a fish. I have to make him reel in a fish. Like,
Yeah.
he would rather film and document everything and then get to edit it all when he gets home than he would actually reel in a fish. And that's pretty cool to me.
I need somebody like that.
Well, the Case is 14 years old, so it's not like I get to, steal him for twice a week. He's doing other stuff too. But every once in a while, he wants to hop in the boat, and he prefers to be in the boat, given the choice, just because of the filming options that are available on the boat versus hauling crap on the bank or in a kayak. Which, like I said, I understand where he's coming from. But yeah, I only get him twice a year, probably.
It's definitely I've been spoiled to it because I've not known any different, I guess. But I could see the I mean, having a cameraman is just I can't put a value on it. Like I said, it's just because at that point, you're all I've got to worry about is the fishing. I don't have to worry about is the camera angle right? Am I getting the shot? Did I start the GoPro? Did I do this? I mean, it just all takes.
That's all practice, though, man. Like it's kind of second nature anymore. Although right now I got 2 new cameras and I've screwed up a handful of things in the last couple weeks, and I'll get her all dialed in. I ain't too worried about that. But yeah, after you do it for a while, it just becomes second nature. It's not that big of a deal.
But it's just cool, like you were saying, when you have somebody else filming, they can collect that angle.
Oh yeah, and they as in real time. I mean, instead of just a stationary image, they can follow you around the boat.
Yeah,
look over your shoulder, and I mean, you just
that's even me as a viewer. I mean, I know that like even like you were saying, just a static picture. That's my videos. But as a viewer for other YouTube videos that have that is something. I mean, I stay engaged the entire time because I want to see, like it kind of creates that anticipation when the camera moves and you're focused on, say, the fish, you're focused on the line coming off the reel, or, you're just focused on the anticipation of that catch or whatever. So that would be kind of the, like I said, for me, that would keep me engaged. Absolutely. Probably beginning to the end, the whole time.
So that buddy of mine, Sam, you wouldn't think of it looking at him because he's an absolute giant of a human being and gruff and tough looking and boisterous and all that other stuff. But he is really good with the camera and actually has filmed like some hunting shows and stuff like that. He used to be a duck hunting guide for, I don't know, several years. I don't know exactly how many years, but got to the point where he would volunteer to be the cameraman. And then when something would go down or a point and shoot camera guy would be more beneficial because he'd want to fish too, but if I hook up or something, I'd be fighting this fish and there'd be this hand that would reach into my pocket and grab my phone to take it out to videotape me. And the first time it was kind of weird. And then I realized what was going on. But yeah, that's just Sam. He's not bashful at all. He's just there to help no matter what gets in front of him. So you're big on the C4, Kody. You ever dabble in the 5-hour energy?
So yes, I've actually really tried to cut back my energy drinks because I just feel like overall they're not great for you. But I'm telling you, when I'm fishing, all bets are off. Especially 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna have something. But yeah, the 5-hour energy, I've tried them. To me, they don't do a lot, or at least not that tangible. Like feel it. Maybe they do keep me a little stimulated. I don't know. But the C4, I don't know what is in a C4, but when I drink that thing, my whole face like starts tingling. Like I get like the pins and needles in my hands. I'm I feel like I'm ready to just punch somebody in the face. Like I'm.
I think that's called copious amounts of caffeine.
Oh, but it makes your skin feel like I'm telling you, pins and needles.
Well, you're the science teacher. I guess technically I kind of was once upon a time. When somebody says energy drinks are bad for you, what's bad about
it? I mean, I don't know. I just hear people having heart attacks. I mean, I don't know, but
the sugar, the sugar.
Yeah.
But so sugar-free energy drinks are fine then?
Probably not, because the sugar-free is not sugar-free. They put some sort of other, I won't say chemical, that is not sugar. So they
it's a chemical.
It's sugar-free, but it's even worse than sugar. So,
we
could have a whole other podcast about this.
Yep. But yeah,
well, I mean, it's kind of fun to talk about that.
Yeah, I will tell you this: I don't know if it was a coincidence, but 2 summers ago, I went out to the river and about the end of dark. This was like the 3rd night in a row I've been fishing, so I'm just drained anyway to start with. So about 9 o'clock, I crack open a orange creamsicle flavored. I think it was a Ghost. I don't know. It might have been a Ghost, but whatever. I drank it, and then absent-mindedly, about like 11 o'clock, I do the same thing again. I crack open another one. let me tell you, I got so jittery and nauseous and clammy, and I was like shaking. I said, God, I said, I can't do this again.
So, a side story: when I was a senior in high school, I wrestled, and I was trying to make weight the following day, but I don't remember how much I was over. Too much. I was over too much, and I hadn't eaten anything, and I was lifting weights that morning, so I hadn't eaten anything. I wanted a little boost. I drank a big monster, like one of those big ones, like the 25.
The ones that's got the screw on lid.
Yes. I drank the whole damn thing, and then went and lifted weights, and I was doing bench press on a machine, and thank God it was on a machine, because I remember hitting a couple reps, and then I woke up on the floor. I passed out, and I don't know if it was related to the lack of food or the energy drink or the combination of both of them. But at that moment, I'm like, man, I can't drink these on an empty stomach. This is not a good idea, So I'm not saying energy drinks are good for you, but when people say they're bad, it's like, what's bad about them? I mean, there's something probably, but is it just the excessive amount of caffeine, or is there something else to it too?
I don't know. I'm not a dietitian. Look, I still drink them.
Right. Well, and I drink them too. I'm more of a coffee guy than anything else.
I've got on a kick lately where I am. I drink my morning coffee every day, but lately I've been taking. I mean, it just gets so daggone cold out there too. But I'll take me. I've got one of those big like green Stanley thermoses.
Oh yeah,
it holds the whole pot of coffee. I'll take and I'll dump me a pot of coffee in there, and I'll sip on that all day or all night, and it'll keep you warm. I like that.
Yep. I like that. My love for coffee centered around me just being a cheap ass. Like when I started teaching, you don't have no money, so the idea of spending $2-3 a piece on an energy drink just seemed absurd when there was free coffee in the teacher's lounge. So I'd never hardly drank coffee, really didn't enjoy it. Then over time, I developed a taste for it. And now it's like hard to imagine starting the day without a cup of coffee. And it don't matter if it's 110 degrees out or 10 degrees out, man. I'm going to drink me a cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I can't function in the morning without it. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I've got to have it.
Yeah. You're still an hour later than Micah, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, I get up pretty early.
4 o'clock's a struggle for me.
I typically get up at 2:30, 3 o'clock.
I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't think you're human. Like, you go catch giant catfish, you never sleep, you just change your oil and keep going.
It's a machine, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Terminator.
A catfish catching machine.
Well, the biggest thing is here lately is you got about that first 45 minutes to an hour of daylight. And I'm talking like once you could barely see light on the horizon to when it finally comes up to catch bait in the morning here. So just food for thought on that, Spence. So we're going to have to get up early when you get here and we catch bait. So,
I mean, at this time of year, I can get up early enough. July, different. I mean, it's a little harder to get out there sunrise in July, but in December.
Yeah. Except you'll be amazed because it's like as soon as you just when I get on the water, as soon as you start seeing light, like I got to run boat lights to get to the spot where we catch bait. And, but as soon as you see light, it's just, I mean, you hammer them. It's as many casts you can make, but let that sun come up over the horizon. They're done. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the issue is, but so I got to get up early, for that. So
I would like to bring some back with me when I come up.
We should definitely be able to do that.
Cool.
Bring your big cooler.
Well, boys, that's about all I got this evening. I guess that's kind of where you get the opportunity to share whatever you want to share. Like,
yeah, I was going to ask Kody, what is your YouTube channel? Because I don't believe I'm following that one.
2K Catfishing. I'm a subscriber.
Yeah,
I am not.
Yep, just two K catfishing.
2K. Okay.
Yep, like the number 2 and then K catfishing. And I ain't got no big time followers or subscribers on YouTube, but we're making progress. I think we're at like 2,200. So it's grown. I mean, because considering we just started posting videos in July, I mean, I don't think from July to now the little growth we've had has been bad. And I've enjoyed the process. YouTube's definitely more of a grind than the other platforms. I feel like a lot of people get spoiled to like TikTok and Facebook because you can pretty much in a matter of a couple weeks pop off, I guess. But YouTube, not so much. You got to be consistent and really work
I'll
at
tell
it.
you, the guy that that I learned a bunch from is Spencer. As far as when I first started my channel and stuff, he's definitely helped me along the way. But you're right, it's work. You got to put your time. You know what I mean? That's what I've learned.
I think there's a lot of people out there. I've seen a lot of YouTube channels that fizzle out. I feel like because I mean they were making decent content, but I just feel like they don't trust the process, I guess, and they get tired. They're not seeing the results, and they just give up.
Again, I'll refer you back to Spencer because that was kind of when we kind of first started talking. That was kind of the same thing I was talking about. It's like I'm sharing things like why isn't my channel doing this, that, or the other, and then he kind of set me down and just kind of told me, it's like it took me how many years? Spent 7, 8, 9 years.
Higher than I can count.
Yeah. So, and I'm going like, okay, well, if I break that down, I'm kind of on par, probably not as high as him as when he first started and stuff like that, but I'm on par, and like you right now, I mean, dang, you're doing pretty good. So you're doing, I think you actually, how long you been doing YouTube?
Since July. Yeah.
Oh, and then you're doing better than I did. For sure.
Well, yeah. I do want to apologize, Kody. I just thought of this. I was going to bring this up earlier. I ordered hooks from Dragon Master, and I was going to use your promo code, and I forgot.
Oh, Spencer, you got no. I'm just kidding. Did you get the 10 out or the 8?
I eventually did use your promo code. So the first order where I tried them out, I got both. Mm-hmm. Forgot your promo code, and then this week I ordered 100 ADOTs, and I got her.
So did you get them with little wire on it?
Nope, I got the ones without the wire on them.
But I haven't tried these yet. Which ones do you use, Kody?
I use the one without the wire.
Without the wire?
Me personally, I don't fish. Well, no, I do. I take that back. I fish some gnarly structure, but I know the point of the wire is to make it not snap. But to me, I want that peace of mind that when that fish takes my bait in his mouth, there is no obstruction between that hook point and him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that wire guard, but I'm just saying in my head I can't get past it. In my head.
Well, see, I got sent quite a bit of stuff to try out. So I've got a stretch of river that I'm going to fish it, and I'm going to need the wire.
Yep.
Because I want to, just like I told Coy, I want to, see if it's worth the hype. You know what I mean? I'm still a skeptic. I love the leader line. Love it.
Oh, that black armor is some crazy stuff.
But the rest of it, I'm still a skeptic. I told him that. He sent me a box anyway.
Yep. I told him the same thing. Koya is a great dude. He's a great. But same thing. Yeah, he sent them to me, and I've not given him a fair shake yet, so I can't tell you good or bad. I mean, but I can tell you this. I can tell you the ones without though, the 8-aught is my go-to hook probably for 90% of my fishing. I just feel like it's a good size hook. I mean, I've caught some really nice fish on it. It's a little bit thinner wire than
a big bait. You can fish a small bait. It's a little bit thinner wire, but it still has a natural presentation. Even with the small bait, and it'll hook a big fish. The biggest client blue cat I've ever put in the boat, 80 pounds, was last week, and it came on an 8-aught.
Yeah, so this is you can see that. I don't know if the camera's going to focus on that, but the 8/0 on top, 10/0 on the bottom.
Oh yeah, that 10/0 is a serious hook.
Yeah.
It's a lot stouter wire, and I mean your gap's a lot bigger. So I've got both actually. Gosh, I might.
Oh, side note, JT says the only fish he ever misses with the Dragon Master, the weed guard, isn't tripped. So he says the fish never had him in his mouth, and dude catches them better than pretty much everybody on the Twisted Cast Trail last year, and pretty close the year before that. So if he gives his blessing, it's hard to argue with the results.
I buy these things literally like 200 at a time, but
that's the way to do it. Like I joke anytime I snag and lose a hook, I'm like, well, good thing I brought a backup.
Yeah, but the 8/0, I mean, that right there is just to me, an ideal size hook. I like my hook gap in any hook, like a kind of a must have in the hook to me is that my thumb has to be able to fit between that's like the benchmark.
Yeah.
Yep. The point and the shank. If my thumb don't go through there, I ain't using it. And that's
you're like me on that aspect. That's exactly what I gotta have. I gotta have that.
Clearance.
Can I borrow your thumb? Because my fat thumb won't even fit between the 11 on.
you built different. Oh, but that
I'm built for grabbing flatheads.
I
got flathead grabbing hands.
But I love that 8/0 there, and it's got a good offset to it. And I don't know what it is. I've always been a straight eye fan with a circle hook. I mean, I'll use an octopus eye hook, but to me, I don't know. I'm just always that straight shank. I mean, I've always had just tremendous success with that.
The only thing I dabbled into the old straight shank too, and when I got sent these hooks, that's kind of what I liked about them. Is what I like a straight shank hook, but the problem was a lot of the straight shank hooks that I was getting, they were really long.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was the one thing I didn't like, because if you put your bait in it, then on it, then if a fish grabs it, well, you still got all this length of, like it'll come up that much further. I don't know. I just, in my mind, of course, I think way into things more than I probably should, but I just think that it was something the fish didn't like, or too much metal. I don't know. It's just, but I like those hooks because they are a short shanked hook.
Yep. The hooks I was using before this were the Daiichi D82 circles, and
yeah,
they weren't bad hooks, but
they're very similar.
Yeah, they're very similar. I'll give them that, and I had no reason to switch from them. I had great success with them, but Koya from Dragon Master reached out and was beyond generous, and I mean, if somebody's so generous to send me something to use, I'm at least give it a fair shake, try it out. Mm-hmm. And I did. I tried them, I used them, and I loved them. And just to have something that performs well, and then have a company that treats you right, that meant a lot to me. So,
well, that's why I say, yeah, he just sent me a box of stuff for, I'm kind of like, cool, I'll try it. I'll do a video on it, and then I'll put it in real time, see what happens.
Yep, I love them. I've had great success, and the 10/0 is it's a very big hook for cut bait fishing. Unless I'm throwing some sort of huge chunk, basically like a whole shad or something.
Yeah,
I don't put the 10 down. In the summer, yes. If I'm fishing,
bring them down here, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. 10/0 for me. That'll be my starter. That'll be the starter. I guess
we're gonna be throwing like fist-sized chunks of skips, like nothing but it. And I'm talking like these hands though, not like your little weenie thumbs.
I am a small dude. A lot of people can't tell on camera that, because actually I joked, my buddy Ryan, he's not very tall either. But the first time we ever met, the first thing he said, he's like, dude, I'm so glad you're not tall. He's like, he said, I watched you on TikTok. He said, I thought you were like 6 foot tall. He's like, and then he's like, I'm gonna be looking up to you the whole time. But I'm 5'7", so I'm not a very big dude.
Perfect.
And that comes in useful though. Being a small dude means when you hold up fish, they look real big.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I can make a 40 look like a 50.
if you're strong enough to pick them up.
I work out now.
It's funny, like all my best fishing friends, other than Sam's the exception, but like my buddy Ryan, he's a stocky, short dude. Like Micah's a little dude, and like you're a tiny dude. And I'm not like giant, but I'm not like tiny. I'm the runt of my family though. My dad's 6'3", my brother's 6'5", and there's me just 6 foot.
I'm 5'7", a buck 50.
All right, I'm gonna wrap up. This is a great awkward end of the conversation. Being tall or short, whatever. But everybody, thank you for taking the time to listen. Thank you for everyone who liked it. Thank you to everyone who took the time to share and comment and all that stuff. And we get into good conversations and talking points. It's tough to get to every comment and everything like that, but I appreciate the hell out of it. Appreciate you, Micah. Appreciate you, Kody. Like,
oh yeah. Hey, you're the man, dude. I appreciate you having me on the podcast. Don't let this be the last time. I'll pop back on here.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. It won't be the last time because it's a good time. Check those guys out on social medias, and everybody have a good night.
Hey, you do the
Catch
same.
Giant. See
Mike,
you,
buddy.
All right, man. Good to see you, Kody.
All right, later.
Later.